guys, it's Geneviève from the Red Fairy Project, your destination to get daily doses of inspiration to live healthy and happy. So it's been quite a while, and there's been a lot of stuff going down. There's been a lot of stuff going down in the last year or so, and even more so in the last few weeks. Not just for me, actually. There's been a lot of stuff happening for people around me. I would say a lot of challenges, some more serious than others, and it made me realize that I wanted to maybe kind of give a little refresher on the toolbox that we kind of need to dive into as human beings. This life can be challenging, and rather than just trying to figure out kind of life and how to face these challenges on our own, we can build a toolbox for ourselves and kind of choose and pick what tools that we might need depending on what kind of challenge that we're facing. So in this video in particular, I want to touch on what do you do when you could say the shit hits the fan, or when life deals you something that's really unexpected. And I mean, this is the kind of stuff that happens all the time. That's just part of life, right? So what do you do and how do you react when there's life throws you a curveball, basically? So one of the things I heard recently in a podcast that I listened to, it's the Lewis Howes podcast. I'll leave a link to it below. He has an amazing, really, really inspiring podcast. And he had a guest, I can't remember his name now. I'll include that information in the description box below. But he had a guest that was talking about how events in our life are neutral. It's how we interpret them and how we react to them that determines if it's going to be a really bad experience, if it can even turn into maybe a positive experience. And that's what I've realized recently. I've had, just like anybody, I've had challenges in my life, and I had something happen in particular recently where I think different people could have reacted to it differently. And I am choosing more and more to trust life. And that might sound kind of airy-fairy to some of you, but for me, like, I'm 40 years old now, and with all the experiences that I've had and the challenges that I've faced, and I've had, like everybody, some dark moments in my life. And honestly, I've come out of those moments stronger and realizing that truly they were gifts. At the time, it doesn't feel like that at all. It can feel like you're always going to stay stuck in that moment of darkness and that challenge, and you don't know how you're going to get out of it. But we are much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And we really need to trust that when a challenge comes our way, and this is my friend Jennifer that told me this recently when I was going through this challenge. She said that when something like that happens, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Now, that is a huge, huge mindset shift, and it can be very difficult to adopt that mindset when you are going through a major challenge. But I would say at first, just try to slowly change the mental dialogue that's going on in your head. And rather than playing the victim role, rather than constantly looking back and overanalyzing if maybe you did something wrong or if you were treated unfairly, try to see, first of all, what is the lesson that you can learn from this? And honestly, this might be something that might be clear like weeks, months, even years maybe after this challenge happens to you. And that's okay. So don't try to force it. Don't like bang your head against the wall trying to figure out right away what the lesson is. It might be something that will be clear on the long term. However, just keep in mind that there is really something that you can learn from that, and see what life is trying to tell you. And if maybe the way that I interpret it often, if I'm facing a challenge or if something isn't going my way and I've been trying really hard and it's just not working, I figure, well, maybe this thing that I thought that I wanted is not actually what I need. Now, this can apply to your career. This can apply to your love life, a romantic relationship. It can be a business that you're trying to launch. It can be a lot of different things. But sometimes we're very convinced, we're very confident that we think that we know what we need, but basically there's sometimes a difference between what we want and what we need. And that's with experience that comes. I have to say that it's something that I learned in my love life, if I can be totally honest, years and years ago, I met somebody. I was with this person for, I think, almost 4 years. And on paper, this person was exactly what I wanted and what I thought I needed. But in the list of criteria, it turns out that some of the things that I wanted, they kind of came with a negative, if you will, and those things I really did not want or need in my life. And I had to go through the experience to realize that. So that was my love life. But sometimes it can be something maybe you think you want in your career. Maybe you think you want that promotion. Maybe you think you want a certain job, a certain title. But sometimes we kind of paint a rosy picture and we don't realize everything else that comes with that. And then sometimes there are certain things that come with that that do not align with who we are or how we want our life to truly be. And we often want it all. We want everything. And the truth is and this is what I believe anyways, you can't have everything, or you can't have everything at once. And often you have to pick your priorities. So maybe your top three. So what's more important to you? And that's something that as we get older and wiser, it can become clearer with time. Our values become more and more clear, and we become less and less willing to negotiate or compromise on those values. So like, for example, one of my top values is health and happiness. So if I make a choice that doesn't align with that, it will make me feel very uneasy. However, I might still try to convince myself for other reasons, let's say for financial reasons or material or for kind of prestige or image reasons. I might try to convince myself that this is the right choice, but in fact, there's something that feels kind of misaligned. And that's sometimes when either we can realize it ourselves and then readjust our course, or sometimes life kind of it'll maybe throw like a little brick behind our head. That's what Oprah said. Oprah said, I love this. And it's honestly, it's true. If you think back and you look at your life, at some of the challenges that you faced, life often at first, it'll be a little whisper of maybe you're not on the right path. Maybe you're not with the right person or the right job. Just a little whisper, just something kind of at the back of your mind that kind of pops up from time to time. And if you don't listen to that, eventually you might kind of get a little slap behind the head. And if you don't listen to that, then sometimes it'll be a brick. So it's basically to say that life will kind of be expressing in more and more obvious ways and dramatic ways that maybe you're not on the right path. And it's not to say that you should judge yourself if you realize that you're on maybe the wrong path. It's to assess the situation, realize, be really, really honest with yourself, even if that truth is scary and not practical, and you think of all the things that involves. For example, let's say if maybe you're not with the right person romantically, it involves the breakup, and it involves maybe, I don't know, selling a house, like all sorts of things. So sometimes we convince ourselves that like, oh no, it's fine, and we're kind of like la 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 la, because we don't like all of what comes with it if we do decide to kind of redirect our course. But in the end, like deep down inside, we will be unhappy, and eventually we will come to the realization, and it's kind of up to us to decide how kind of broken down do we want to be when we finally do admit that truth to ourselves. So coming back to how we want to react when something out of our control comes our way, it's really how you interpret that situation. So once again, are you going to be the victim? Are you going to be constantly looking back in the past of what you could have done differently, or who did you wrong, or all sorts of different things? I mean, we can go in like vicious circles in our minds for hours and weeks and months and even sometimes years. And it's really something that's quite unhealthy. There's really a difference between doing that and just trying to pull a lesson out of a challenge. And you want to make sure that you focus more on just maybe what's the lesson to learn, and where are you meant to go at this point, rather than just kind of looking through a microscope and just obsessing over every little thing that maybe you did wrong or somebody else did wrong and whatnot. So I think that for the challenge that I faced recently, I think that because of the practice that I've had over the years of the different challenges that I faced, I was able quite quickly, and kind of my default setting was saying, this doesn't suit me. However, I do trust life, and it might not suit me on the short term because of different technical, logistical reasons, but deep down inside, if I'm honest with myself, it's for the best. And in the long run, it really is for the best, because I probably would have gone on the wrong path for probably a little too long. So look at those areas in your life where either if you're struggling now, or maybe it's something happened in the past, or maybe it's something that you see you might be facing soon, and make the conscious decision to choose how you're going to react to that situation if it does happen, and know that the power really is in your hands. So we can't control everything that happens in our life. There's a lot that we cannot control. So it's up to us to say, well, what I can control, what I can decide, and what I can choose is how I react to it. What's the mindset that I want to adopt at this moment? And how do I choose to move forward? Do I stay stuck looking in the past, or do I really want to focus all of those energies looking forward? So I hope this is helpful. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Remember to subscribe if ever you're not on the newsletter list. That way you'll be alerted every time that a new video comes out. There's a new video every week. If you're on YouTube and you have an account and you can log into YouTube, I believe there's a little bell on the top right or left that can give you notifications when there's a new video that goes live. So that's a good way to make sure that you don't miss it. So I wish you a wonderful week, a very inspiring, healthy, and happy week. And don't forget to leave your comments below if ever you have any questions about this topic in particular, or maybe something else that you're struggling with. I'm always here to help. And yes, I love you very much. Bye, guys.